So this little munchkin came to us and she was in her mother's hand, right? So she just a few weeks to a month old. And she had these, what we call blueberry muffin spots. And so we diagnosed her with AML, neonatal AML. And when you watch a child grow in front of you, we had the crib. Her mom started buying her these little cute outfits. And she went from laying down to sitting up. Every time you came in the room, she starts clapping, and those smiles, the gummy smiles. And so like pulling herself up, going through chemo, her head bald, her hair growing back, and you just saw this munchkin blossom.
Hello and welcome back to the Pharmaverse Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pietrack. And if you're a leader or an aspiring leader in the pharmaceutical industry, well, then you're in the right place, because we interview the brightest stars from all the corners of the pharma universe. You just heard a clip from Tania Small, MD, Senior Vice President and Head of Medical Affairs at Bristol Myers Squibb. She's also the host of the Doctors Unscripted podcast, which is fantastic. We're going to be discussing Tania's leadership journey, the value of medical affairs, and countless leadership insights that you can put into practice today. So, Tania Small, welcome to the Pharmaverse.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this discussion.
Oh, me too. I mean, and you're such a busy person. Thanks for carving out time. I was just thinking about it. You're leading medical affairs at a major company. You're now hosting a podcast, which is fantastic, by the way. You're at all these congresses around the globe. You're sitting on boards. How do you find the energy for all this?
I was born like this. In all honesty, it has to do with some things that I take. It's called caffeine. So I usually do in the morning when I first start, I have to have a red eye. So for those of you who don't know what a red eye is, it's first of all, it's actually dark roast. I usually like dark roast, so French roast, plus a shot of espresso, plus my half and half. And then 3 hours later, it's usually a cappuccino or a flat white with 2 shots of espresso, plus 2 pumps of something sweet like caramel or pumpkin spice. And so that's usually how my energy starts. And then the rest of it is all I just love what I do. So I'm filled with the things that I love to do, plus caffeine, and together we keep going.
That's magic. That explains the coffee choice at the BMS booth at ASCO. Now I know who's behind the whole thing.
Oh yeah, and it's good coffee too. It's not that watered down coffee there.
Well, I've been watching your podcasts. Anybody that has been watching them knows you're a brilliant physician. They know you're very passionate about patients, but they may not know you like as a person. So I thought where we could start is really where your pharma leadership path began. I remember the story you told me about. You were in the clinic, you're talking to a patient, and that's when it hit you. I'll let you take it from there.
Sure. So I'm a pediatric hemonker. And I think every treating physician would tell you that each patient that they've treated, I mean, they leave some kind of imprint on you, right? So you always remember just the little nuances, whether it's the smile. Like I remember, if you could tell I have a nose ring. I used to have 2, where I had a 2-year-old. Every time I go in her room, I masked up, and and one time she saw me without a mask, and she was like, Dr. Small has 2 nose rings. She was blown away, just little things like that. And I lost her, right? She passed. I've had other patients who you never knew if they would make it, and they made it, and that lights up your life. So every patient has left some kind of imprint or made you smile or cry when you think about it. But there's one patient that I think was the patient that made me move into pharma. And just to keep her identity quiet, her name, I call her Baby S. And like I said, pediatric hemonker. So this little munchkin came to us, and she was in her mother's hand, right? So she just a few weeks to a month old, and she had these, what we call blueberry muffin spots. And so we diagnosed her with AML, neonatal AML. And when you watch a child grow in front of you, we had the crib. Her mom started buying her these little cute outfits. And she went from laying down to sitting up. Every time you came in the room, she starts clapping, and those smiles, the gummy smiles. And so like pulling herself up, going through chemo, her head bald, her hair growing back. and you just saw this munchkin blossom. And her last cycle, her mom was getting ready to take her home. She was on her last cycle of chemotherapy, and I'll never forget. I was not on call that weekend. I came in on Monday and found out that she was in the pediatric ICU. And by the time we got up there, she was passing, and we tried to resuscitate her, and she did not make it. Now, mind you, her disease was gone. She was in her last cycle, and we had to watch this child who was supposed to go home and live a full life not make it. And I always just think about her mom coming in with this child in her hand and leaving empty-handed, and
Hmm.
that she was not supposed to die. And I can tell you many patients that were not supposed to die. And she died not due to her disease, but due to toxicity of her drug. And then you ask yourself, how good is your drug, even if it cures the disease, but the patient can't live through it, right? And so it made me, it pushed me to the edge to say, we got to do more, we got to do better. And then she wasn't the only person. I think it was building up where you keep losing patients and you say, I need more tools. If I could just keep you alive a little bit longer till the next drug is developed, or how do I lose you due to toxicity? So it was all those things. But she broke me. I went to the bathroom and I remember crying and just, and of course, when you speak to the parent, you have to say, I'm sorry. And they know that you tried, but your words, nothing is good enough. Nothing. But you have to look professional. You say what you have to say. You give her a hug and you watch this woman leave without her baby. And I
Wow.
just remember going in the bathroom crying and saying, we got to do more. We got to do more. We got to do more. So that's when I finally answered those calls and from there I went into drug development. And to me as a physician in pharma, you don't leave the patient, right? You don't ever leave the patient. You bring that bedside to pharma,
Mhm.
right? And so that's what you're doing. You're bringing that patient's memory, everything to pharma so that the next patient doesn't have to suffer the way she did. So
Yeah.
that was the thing that made me say, we gotta do more. We can do more. We have to do more. And so if not me, then who, right? So
Yeah. Talk about going to the bathroom to cry. You're choking me up with this story. Gee,
yeah,
I mean, how
yeah,
sad.
yeah,
ABS.
yeah.
Well, when you made that decision, not everybody's in the hospital with you going through that roller coaster of emotion. So those around you, when you made that decision, how did they react? You're going to pharma? What are you talking about?
Of course, like especially your colleagues. And I'll never forget one person, she was a senior attending. She was my senior. She's like, I can't imagine leaving your patients. And that's why I kept telling her, I'm not leaving them, I'm taking them with me so that. But I still stay in contact with some of them. There's one that recently, I don't want to call his name, but he was another one. He had hepatoblastoma, and I mean, his chances of survival were really low. He made it, he survived, and he's graduating high school this year. And his mom reached out and told me, and he had a favorite color, which was orange. And I was like, you go there, you make sure you wear your orange and tell him and give him a big hug for me. Like you, you bring them with you. You bring their memories with you. And that is the thing that keeps you going. And sometimes I tell my team, sometimes, yeah, we have rough days. Okay, we have the squeeze. We have to launch a drug. Sometimes you didn't deliver the way you needed to. But my God, knowing what that patient is going through, let that be your boost, right? Knowing what you are doing for that person, for each person, let that be your boost. So that's what I bring. So I didn't leave them. I always tell my colleagues, I didn't leave them. I'm bringing them with me to make
Yeah,
sure we could do more for them.
that's incredible. And I heard you say that you started in drug development. Now you're in medical affairs. And
Yes.
so I want to pivot to leadership, and that way I'll stop crying here. Um, But many of the leaders I talk to in medical affairs, they find themselves having to explain the value of medical affairs to their colleagues. It's almost like that's their job. But I've heard you describe the value of medical affairs as like the nucleus of pharma or the special ops partner in pharma. Can you explain that a little further for our audience?
Yeah, so everyone who knows me knows there's a curse word in medical and it's called a bridge. I do not allow my team to call, or anyone to call us a bridge. A bridge is this object that people drive over, right? It is a thing that is passive, and we are a force. Medical is a force, part of the end-to-end process of the medicine. From the asset being discovered, we're part of that. To the asset being developed, we're part of that. To the asset being delivered, we're part of that. To making sure the asset reaches a patient, we are part of it. And we should be proactively a part of it. And so we are not this passive enabler. We are an active part of the end-to-end process. And so when you hear me talk about the special ops, so if we think through the different pieces that we do, the first piece is think about when an asset is being developed, right? And we go out, we scope the terrain, we understand the unmet need, we understand the treatment landscape. We're out there trying to understand every unmet need that's there because we understand that we have an asset, we have a technology, but we need to understand for whom, for what, and how should you develop it. That is our job from the very, very beginning, from the time you say you have an asset. And so from there, you bring that information into the core pieces of drug development, from your TPP, your target product profile. From the very beginning, you should be a part of bringing that external lens in, saying this is how we need to develop this asset. This is the true unmet need. To what are the care gaps? That is your job from the very beginning. What is the patient journey, both the treatment journey, the emotional journey, the barriers that they're going to face from the end of phase 1, once you go dose expansion in phase 2. So from the very beginning, you should be at that table, not nodding and just giving feedback, but helping to discover and develop the right patient population, the right way to develop that asset, the right indication, addressing the right gaps. That's from the very beginning, before you even write the protocol. So that is the first part of the development piece. And you should be continuously iterating. I mean, think about even side effect profiles. Grade 1 or 2 nausea is not okay. That's protracted nausea. You should be helping to develop the drugs to make sure that the AE profile is good, right? So that's the development piece, so that you can really maximize your patient impact. But to me, the second piece of drug development, and that's just the first part. The second part is signal seeking. I'm very big on looking and identifying signals for the drug. Where else can we expand the use of this drug? What other indications are we not developing it yet? So if you look in oncology, we may be developing a drug in lung, but are there other tumor types we should be looking at based on mechanism, based on unmet need? And we can do those quick, I like to call them quick and dirty studies in medical affairs, so we can get a quick signal. And if there's a real signal, then development can take it through their machine. So that's just the development piece of being the nucleus, or being the special ops. And the second piece is throughout the whole process, how are we partnering physicians to, again, bring that external voice and being that external anchor for your company, making sure you're not developing this asset in isolation. It is developed with and for patients through using our physician connection. And then you have to also make sure that you're translating this information to physicians in a language that they can understand, and not at launch, not T-12 from the very beginning. Bring them along the journey. And then the other piece is, how do you make sure it's implementing? How do you make sure it's reaching the patients? What are those gaps in care? What are those barriers that you should be solving for throughout the journey of that development? Right? So it's that whole piece. And this is what, I mean, people who know me know I call this patient-driven science. It is making sure that the patient is driving your science, not the asset driving your patient, right? And it's just a flip and reverse. It is, right? And so I give this analogy a lot, because it was one of those aha moments when I came up with that term, watching Air. Did you ever watch Air?
No.
Well, Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I just had no context. Yes, now I know what you're talking
Right. So, when they said basically they were developing, that Nike was developing this
about.
sneaker, and instead they were trying to understand Jordan, right? And develop the right sneaker for Jordan, not just say our sneaker is right for you. They developed it for him.
Yeah, right.
It's the same thing with patients. It is a patient-centered drug development instead of a product-centered drug development. You have the asset. It is medical's job to make sure that you're developing it for the patient, not retrofitting it for the patient. So
Yeah.
that to me that's why we are the nucleus. Without that, you have an asset just moving forward, but for whom, for what, and how do you make sure it's applicable? And we bring the outside in from the very beginning.
Now I can totally tell why you hate the bridge analogy.
Oh, yeah.
Eh,
No, I don't like the bridge. I heard another one when when I first started, they were like the enabling function. I was like, an enabling.
Someone hold me back. Someone hold me back. No, I hear you. And it's true because the word that you said that I really liked is like static, or would you say like inanimate?
Yes, that's what
It's animate. I mean, it is animate. If anything, medical affairs is animate.
Yes, yes. And I think the earlier we go, the more we own it. What we have to do is be really focused on what our job is. And that is to change care, to change the conditions of care, to change the impact and impact patients' lives. Do that well and use medical affairs as your vessel, not as your endpoint, right? And that's when you start making the real impact.
When you're talking about special forces, special ops, I like country western movies. And I was thinking about your story about your mentor, the cowboy.
Ah,
Yeah. What a really unique character he sounds like. What were some of the lessons that the cowboy taught you?
oh my gosh. So Dr. Mitch Cairo. So I was his fellow. And for anyone who knows Dr. Cairo is like just a guru of bone marrow transplants. And he's done a lot of things that most people, in the time that he did it, that most people weren't even thinking about doing. I mean, he was doing haplos. He was doing, he was curing sickle cell with bone marrow transplant before anyone even, people are still not doing it now, but he was doing this decades ago. And people were being cured by it. And, I remember, there were times, this was basically his philosophy and I picked up on it. Because when I used to tell people I worked under Dr. Cairo, they were like, oh, you worked under a cowboy. That's a Cairo would transplant anyone. And you're like, no, what you're seeing are true results. And he took risks because he's like, I cannot let a patient die without trying my best. I cannot give up. And then you'd ask him, like, Dr. Cairo, like, we don't know how to do it. He used to tell me this. There's not a problem you cannot solve. You just have to find the solution. It is our job to find the solution. And so I added, it's our job to identify the problem. And once you identify the problem, it is your job to find the solution. There is not a problem we cannot solve. You just have to find the solution. So that was a big lesson that he taught me. So when people go, we just can't, you go, listen, if it can be done, then you can do it. If it hasn't been done, then you need to create it.
Wow.
Right. And so it is, the power's in our hand. And that was probably the biggest lesson that he gave me. The power is in your hand. There is not a problem we cannot solve. Just figure it out. So
What a leadership lesson too. I mean,
yeah,
because oftentimes when nobody knows what they're doing, their eyes are on the leader.
their eyes are on the leader. And then you flip it, the eyes, like you are empowered to figure it out. And I think that goes to, even if you think through even leadership, I guess, lessons of failing and failing fast and failing forward, right? Like you gotta take risks, especially if you're walking through areas that you don't have the right, don't know the solution. No one has ever done it before. You have to be able to jump. And I always tell people that innovation starts at that ledge. It starts at that ledge. And when you stand on the ledge, you will fall at times. And it's okay. But that is how progress is made. And so once you fall or fail fast and fail forward. Like pick yourself up and keep going, learn from it, but take those risks. So I think that's one of the things. So while he took a lot of risks, he took a lot of smart risks. He wasn't, he took a lot of smart risks, and a lot of patients benefited from it. A lot of patients survived because of it. And actually, medicine has changed
Mhm.
because of what he's done. And then the other piece was always about making sure you find your purpose, right? Like he's like, when you're ready to make real changes in this world, come call me. Right? Like that was his thing. Right? Like this is, he was very purpose driven, and he gave me the permission to sometimes be bullish, but be bullish for the right reason. Be bullish when you know there's a patient's life on the line. Be bullish when you feel that you can make the difference. And sometimes when you don't know the solution, sit there and try to figure it out. Don't give up, because you know there's a person at the other end. And I saw it.
Yeah,
I saw what he
it's like
did.
fighting. It's like fighting for someone that can't fight for themselves, keep
Exactly.
fighting,
Fighting.
So, well, healthcare is changing so dynamically. Pharma is changing so dynamically. Most of our leaders, they're on two ends of the spectrum. They're CEOs, C-suite people, and then there's aspiring MSLs or aspiring like leaders listening. What advice would you give to the healthcare leaders of tomorrow?
I I would say this, and this is how I've approached my career. I mean, I look at so full disclosure, I loved college, right? So this analogy may not work for everyone, but I love school. I was like, I want to be a lifetime student. So I would say embrace this world, embrace your job as academia, as school, learn from it, like learn every bit that you can and never be stagnant. Sometimes, walk through, you may be walking down a road and there's a do not enter sign. Okay, but what did you learn? Pivot, turn, learn, look. Like it's having, I guess, it's that curiosity, that hunger to learn and apply. And do not, I go back, don't be afraid to take risks. If you see something, if you see an opportunity, don't second guess yourself. Jump in. And like I said, if you don't land on 2 feet, it's okay. I stubbed my toe many a times. So
Yeah.
jump, right? Like jump and learn, but use this as a learning experience so that you're not hard on yourself. Right. And keep learning. I think that was the biggest lesson I had. Like a lot of times we come in and we say, I know I want to do this, I want to do that. Like I thought I was gonna love drug development. I did it for a while, I learned. Then I went to medical affairs. I'm like, oh my God, I love it. Then I missed development. I went back into development. Then I missed medical affairs, went back in medical affairs. But each time I learned something new, and then I saw things from a different angle. And then I saw more opportunities. I saw more gaps. I'm like, but why aren't we doing this? If no one else is doing it, like I said, then we do it, right? Like, can we figure this out? Let's do this better. But embracing the ability to ask the question and learn. I think use this as your journey to learn, see what you love, see what you're good at, see where the opportunity is. And don't be afraid to jump. Don't be afraid to speak up. I don't care if you're not the SVP. The other piece that I've also learned is, as a leader, I appreciate every voice in the room, right? And they talk about diversity of experience, diversity of thought. That to me is so important. So I don't care if you're new into pharma or if you've been here for 10 years, or you're new into a function, your thoughts matter. The way you see the world is your own unique skill set. And people need to hear it, because what you're bringing to the table may actually open a door for someone else, or it may allow us to see something differently that we didn't think of. So trust your gut, trust your instinct. Take life as this amazing journey that it is. Learn from it, ask questions, but jump and don't be afraid of falling.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I have one more question for you. And
Got
you
it.
probably don't think much about it, but all leaders leave a legacy. You know,
Oh,
what do you want your legacy to be?
I think about that a lot more with my kids.
Yeah.
But I mean, hopefully, I think there's two pieces. One would be as a leader, hopefully I inspired someone, like I said, to jump, to take risks. Hopefully I opened the doors for someone else to be seen, to be heard, and to trust themselves so that they make a difference in the long run. Hopefully I can help in some way. Um, but the other piece is from a patient standpoint, this is the piece that I think I ask myself always. Am I doing what's what really matters in the end, right? For a patient. Everything that I do, every decision that I make, does it in the end lead to some kind of impact, whether it's a tiny impact or whether it's a large impact? Did I make a difference? Did I make a difference for patients? Did I make a difference through physicians for patients? But did I make a difference? And so my legacy is, to me, very simple. Did I make a difference? Did I help one person? And that's good enough for me. But that's why I came here. That's what I do. That's the thing that wakes me up in the night if I feel like, did I do that right? That's the thing when I look at myself in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm happy with what I did. I'm making a difference. So my legacy is, I hope, is really simple. Did I make a difference in someone's life? And in the end, help a patient live a better life.
Well, I think you should be confident that you're setting a strong legacy that way. But sadly, that's all the time we have for the episode. But I just want to encourage everyone listening, tune in to Doctors Unscripted podcast, DOCTORX Unscripted.
Yes.
Great content, and the video quality is tremendous. And also Tania's a great follow on LinkedIn. So on behalf of everyone in the Pharmaverse, Tania, thank you for being a guest for us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
My privilege. Well, that concludes another episode of the Pharmaverse Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the channel because we have many great leaders lined up for you, and you don't want to miss a single career-enhancing insight. But as for now, that's a wrap. See you next time on the Pharmaverse.